basically nuclear fusion, the fusing of two atoms is basically like nuclear fusion fuel is like 1,000,000 times more energy dense than our current fossil fuels. 1,000,000 times. So that's like a shit ton. So basically, scientists have made it to where we will actually have a working prototype of a nuclear fusion reactor within 6 years. That's 6 years. And that's just a prototype, but they're hoping to have it commercially available by 2035. So by the time I'm 45 years old, we will have like one nuclear fusion plant can, power up like half the world.
What are the cons? Is it dangerous?
Actually, here's the thing. So when nuclear fission, so our current nuclear technology, when there's a meltdown, it fucks everything up, right? Okay. Yeah, and also it produces waste that takes fucking forever in a year to for its half like to not be
forever in a year is how long it took me to lose my virginity.
Yeah.
Damn, that long?
Yeah. But
still gone, bro.
But it basically it takes forever for the waste to not be irradiating everything around it. Kind of like how there's still pockets in places where like the Fukushima meltdown.
I got all fooked up.
Yeah. But so people cannot still live in those places, and it's been how many years? Like 50, like plus 60 years. But yeah, with fusion, it doesn't like blow up or like melt down like how fission does.
The people that are working in it start growing extra limbs and shit.
Yeah. So basically, when I don't know if it's a meltdown per se or anything, but basically when they just shut down, and then all it is that they have to start it back up again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no waste or anything, because really, like, all it takes is like salt water. That's the fuel.
And you said it was 1,000,000 times stronger? Or
yeah, 1,000,000 times more energy dense than our fossil fuels.
So if they combine that technology with like a Tesla or some shit, probably be pretty goddamn fast.
We have little mini fusion reactors in our cars.
Yeah, well, how would that do for a car crash? That'd probably be like pretty bad.
That'd probably be the best thing to put in a rocket ship that's flinging itself across the universe. You know what I mean?
No, but like here's the thing: they don't blow up. They don't like melt down. It's just like if it stops,
Tesla cars blow up a lot though.
Yeah, that's Tesla cars, but that's using current chemical interactions for its battery. But
so then, yeah, like if it went bad, it would be like a mini fucking nuclear explosion.
No. If it goes bad, it just shuts down. That's all it is.
It just turns off.
It just turns off.
But like even if you put it into like cars and shit like that.
Yeah, they just would turn off.
At that level, I feel like they're not prepared to explore those options yet, because what they're really exploring is like essentially building a big plant that would power probably the Western world before they power the East.
Yeah. That's totally true. Yeah. So basically, it's just before they ran into the issues of they couldn't contain this thing. So if you want to know a reference of what nuclear fusion is, the sun is a natural nuclear fusion plant. That's a reactor. So basically, what you're doing is trying to contain a sun is what you're doing, because what you have to do is you're taking your salt water, because that's what it is like, because they need I think it's like deuterium ions is what they need from it. So basically they have to heat it up to 200 million Kelvin, and then all matter exists as a plasma, so ionized gas. So it's just like, plasma flying around. The best reference to use from this is if you watch
Infinity Stones.
No. Okay. If you watch the original Spider-Man.
Is it Infinity Stones?
No. Did you remember the original Spider-Man with
when Dr. Octavio said he's like trying to contain it with his little
that
stupid claws.
That's what it was. That he was trying to make nuclear fusion. That's what it was back then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he couldn't contain it
because he's a little Bitch. No, just playing.
Dude, if you could do that, if you created that but then couldn't contain it, I wouldn't call you a little bitch like that.
You're right.
I probably would.
So, what are the weirdest things about like that scenario in which like Dr. Octavius created like with fusion, right? Like a fusion hydrogen like energy source, but he couldn't. Yeah, but
fucking made him insane and want to murder people.
But like I just thought it was super like that's really reminiscent of the fact that the first like hydrogen bomb or like atom bomb testing, essentially when they finally did it, it was just like boom, like, they blew up like a quarter of a stadium, and then some dude got out of there like with the first air, and it's like, holy shit, that shit was badass. Son. I was like,
it was dope.
That shit was dope.
They're like, dude, that wasn't in your calculations. He's like, oh shit, I forgot to carry the Y. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
This shit is killing me. It's like literally killing me, man. It's like,
I fucking died.
All right. What do you do after that? Like, what gets you off after that? After you
nuclear explosions.
You're just like, that guy could be like blowing lines at a strip club, and he's like, "This is nothing, man.
This is
nothing. This is nothing. I need explosions.
I need hydrogen bombs."
But yeah. So yeah, within 6 years we should be able to see a working prototype, and then by the time we're 45,
and then we get nuclear powered sex dolls.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's what I'm getting out of this report.
That's exactly what I got from this report too.
And then we're
Is that where we're
Ex
going with
Machina,
this?
right? Or Sex Machina, should I say?
Sex Machina too. The hose from down under. That's
I
what
mean,
it says.
and then after that would try to figuring out antimatter reactors, but that's after our time. We'll be dead before they make a prototype of that.
Yeah, that's when Backdoor's Machina 9 will come out.
Making pornos with fucking robots.
So moving on from that, and it says grab that fact and move it into one of my favorite segments. It's list time.
List time.
What, Carlos, make an animation for this motherfucker?
You can't because you're dead.
No. Oh my god. No, it's not. So I'll give you guys both 3 guesses, and I'll just name the top 5, right? Okay. So I'm gonna name the subject, and it's just
chlamydia. No.
The 5 persons that get chlamydia that were the coolest. So I wanted to say, what do you guys think were the 5 greatest scientific innovations rated?
The 5 greatest?
Yeah, or the top 3 greatest. Just
when you say scientific, does this just like include every single technology ever, or
includes electronics? It includes science, like medical. It includes.
Number 1 for me, electricity.
Okay, well, he just goes off the bat. Kevin says electricity, right?
Yeah, are you okay?
All right. So this is a site that rates this just on how much we use it nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, how influential it is.
Are we taking turns, or am I just going to start naming off mine?
I think maybe he should have us run that one, because that way he doesn't
take turns.
That way you don't just steal all of his, Kevin.
Steal all of it.
What? Oh, okay.
Think
technology?
You can say it.
I don't like pressure. I don't know. I'm thinking of technology, and all I can think about is electricity now. God damn it.
Right? Maybe he should have gone first.
Solar power. I don't know. I'm thinking about energy now. Fuck.
Next one is the microprocessor.
What is that?
This is like fucking handmade for Kevin, man.
No, actually, this is actually where you shine, where he thinks he's killing it, and then you come out of nowhere.
I don't know. I never think I'm winning.
No, and then you always do. All right, David.
This is bullshit.
Another thing. Like I said, medical technology.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be anything particular, like for any field, but it's just a scientific innovation.
I'm just saying what's important to me. It's the electricity and the microprocessor.
You can say hand lube. After you said that. No. What was I gonna say? Fuck! I lost what I was gonna say. God damn it! I forgot what I was gonna say.
Don't worry, you have time.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you said it's technology that we use today,
or even something that people,
huge inventions, or
like inventions that drove us into the future.
I don't know. This is a very broad.
I know.
question.
Well, the things on the list I didn't actually think about.
Okay. So, well, I'm gonna just say. I mean, for me, one of the hugest things that was came together was what was it? Wasn't it like the cure for fucking Was it tuberculosis?
TB?
Or something?
TB.
I don't know.
There you go. Cure for TB. Well, moving on, Kevin. You get your last one. Boom, boom.
Radio communication.
Radio communication.
I don't know. Velcro.
Actually, hey, you know what?
That'd be pretty funny.
I actually watched a Star Trek episode where I guess like before they were all futuristic, the Vulcans accidentally like crash landed on the Earth's planet, and they had to just like survive in a town in like Oklahoma called Carbon Creek.
Okay.
And I guess one of the Vulcans or one of the humans was talking to her. It's like, oh, I heard you're getting ready to get out of here because their ship has finally found them. Mm-hmm. And she was like, so what about you? Are you going to college? And he's like, nah, I'm not going to college. Don't have enough money and shit like that. And then like she was actually concerned for him, and she took one of the items from the thing and sold it to a patent maker. Uh-huh. And it was Velcro.
Oh, it was Velcro.
It was like, so show me this invention that's going to change the world. And it was Velcro. And then she paid for his college. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That was a long segue into fucking Velcro, Kevin. Jesus Christ.
We should add it to the list because it's basically part of the gym.
That's his fifth option.
So I'm starting backwards on number 5, right? Number 5, artificial intelligence. The creation of essentially like self-thinking. So let's see.
Oh, you're starting from 5?
Backwards, yeah.
Okay.
So
AI.
And the AI.
AI is crazy. Yeah,
AI is crazy.
Just like, Siri, of course.
Yeah. I use that bitch every day.
Bitch fucks me over every day.
So number 4,
learning.
Things that were very driven, and a lot of things could have led to this, but I mean, essentially, like medical imaging is like something super big. So medical imaging is like the ability to X-ray people, MRIs. Yeah. It's like because apparently, like through that, we've been able to discover so many ways to cure illness, like from proactively, which is like I guess huge for our lifespan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3, which is a big one. I didn't even think about this, but we learned about this so much from Miss Morrison.
Dude, she loved me.
Yeah, Miss Morrison,
our science teacher.
Our science teacher in
for like years
in middle school.
In middle school and high school.
When you go to high school, it's gonna be like this.
And then she was in high school,
and then she moved to high school with us. No, this is not ringing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
Miss Morrison, red hair, black glasses. Would always tell us that we weren't gonna make it. That we weren't gonna make it in high school because
all I can think about is Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I don't know. Miss Morrison said I was a really smart kid. It's just I'm really lazy.
All right, let's calm down,
dude,
buddy.
Because you're so smart, bro.
Dude, you're so smart, bro.
So
dude, I hate all of you.
Number 3, antibiotics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So technically, TB cure. I'm right, and like.
Well, actually,
he's like, I'm the fucking greatest.
I'm the fucking. I'm so fucking smart. My teachers never told me that, but
number
I
2,
tell it to myself.
The internet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The internet is the imagine
the information highway. Oh fuck.
And the number 1 thing that they rate as one of the greatest scientific advancements, right? Well, actually,
is the microprocessor.
No, actually, this one is just a flat tie because none of you said anything. The closest one is cure for TB.
Is it oil-based lubricant?
First? No. And number 1 is it's called Trojan Fire and Ice. No, it's not only lubricant, but it's the one that makes you feel better.
And like goes and turns into a sponsor. We have a sponsor finally.
Yeah, well, it's same animation for the listing, but it's just for that. Number 1 is DNA. The discovery of how to analyze.
I know what's in my dinner.
Motherfucker, you ruined it my sandwich.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just playing. But it's like the DNA thing because I never thought about it. So this put it into perspective like this. Without the discovery of DNA, we wouldn't have been able to come up with like DNA forensic evidence, which you guys
we wouldn't have had Mari. You are not the father.
Yeah, that's another one. Like being able to discover who is like related to who,
parents,
following your DNA ancestry. Which is like one of our first episodes talking about that. Yeah. Like taking that all the way back. That's all through the discovery of DNA and how to break it down.
2% African. What's up?
Now apparently they're getting to the point with DNA where they can even just take a cotton swab of your spit and then one service will take it for like $50 and they'll send you back like genetically your makeup tells you that you should go on this diet. This one is the best for you.
Wow. Yeah, like my thing was telling me like they just added this thing to the app where they were saying like, oh, you like cilantro. I was like, all right, I'm Mexican, so wow, you guys are really fucking advanced. Yeah. And then they're just like saying other shit. Yeah, but they're also saying like my teeth and all this shit. It's pretty.
Sometimes they'll even tell you what you're predisposed to. Like even over there, like even though when they would tell me like you're probably gonna get diabetes. I'm like, dude, this is bullshit. And I crack open a hummus right in front of it.
And eating a churro with it. Like fuck you. You don't know me.
You don't know me. I snort the churro. But it's like it makes me feel like it's like wow, there's a lot of things that have happened with DNA that like we just really don't know. Like and I mean the biggest advancement now is just like trying to discover how we can and this is like in the thing, it's like how we're discovering how we can predispose how our kids are going to turn out and genetically make them up, because all genetic forensics, genetic GMOs, all that
designer babies,
that all comes from knowing how to manipulate DNA. So it's like I mean, and arguably GMOs are the reason that we have as much food as we do. So
that's true.
That's true. Even though people talk crap on GMOs, it's like we wouldn't be able to feed a lot of people unless we had that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a toss-up.
What's this, Keith Townsend? What's that?
Just recently, there was a study/experiment done where they made a newborn baby immune to HIV.
What? Keith Townsend.
Tell us
coming
more.
Through in the clutch.
Let's go.
Oh my god.
Cite your reference or it's not
You're
true.
a part of this podcast now, buddy. Like, damn, that's a crazy advancement. Shit. I wouldn't have even thought about that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, and then that's the kind of stuff where.
What about a baby that's immune to racism?
No, not yet. No, it's just clear. I would say like.
Listen, we just found out that there's a racism gene.
Oh shit! Imagine.
We can get rid of it.
Yeah. Fuck. Well, the biggest thing too is like when we start going to different planets, it's like we might have to start like genetically modifying ourselves to be able to live in that environment.
Yeah, that is true.
That is a big concern with us not being able through evolution, because it's so slow of a process to have to be on a planet. They're like that whole notion, like in the movie Avatar, that they go there with like masks and they were like, oh, the gravity here is more. It's like, dude, there's a lot of like fallacy to like where they feel like that would just crush you. You would die instantaneously from being exposed to a cut from an environment you're not used to. Like there's just a bunch of shit like that.
Sorry. They were talking about, wasn't it? There was a Rogan podcast where he was talking to some dude and he was talking about some bull that there was like. CRISPR. He had like it was like through CRISPR or some shit, but also they were talking about some bull that naturally it had. I'm not sure what the term was. Was it? I don't know if it was mitochondria. It was something muscular.
The powerhouse of the cell.
Meaning that it couldn't like fucking make fat, and you saw, and he was just like fucking jacked.
Oh, it was like a little kid, right?
And then there was a little kid. Yeah, there was a little kid that had the same. It was like a disease or something.
No, it was a genetic deformity.
There you go. Yeah,
that's what it was.
But he was just like all.
He was
muscle.
like jacked.
Yeah, I was like, dude, give me that.
That kid was yoked.
Yeah.
That kid fucking grabbed all the egg white and split that shit out straight.
Yeah,
but you know, like not having any fat in your body is also pretty detrimental.
Nah, bro, I'll take it. It's like Captain America, where they're like, you have to eat like it was like some crazy ass number of calories to like fucking stay alive.
Your brain.
Fuck yeah. So wait, I eat more than I need to, and I'm jacked. I'm in,
dude.
Yeah, I can do that.
Your brain is like 30% fat, man.
All right,
some jazz like that. I mean, that was probably not
buffets on the daily.
Oh man. So let's move on to another subject. Let's get off science for a bit. What is the Irishman? What are we gonna?
Yeah. So Dave, bring us into the Irishman.
Have Jose bring us into this goddamn shit. God damn it.
Irishman. So Irishman. I think this has been, the biggest dry spell I felt personally.
This
since
is a movie trailer, by the way.
The last Scorsese film, right? Because the last one was Wolf on Wall Street, I think.
Oh, was it? He did that one? I didn't even know.
That was him. And I mean, there's been big gaps between his movies, but this is obviously one where everyone's super excited because he's doing it's a mob style film, right?
Is it based on a true story?
It's based on a true story of one of the only guys that did hits on. He did hits and killed one super famous mobster. I can look it up right now what his name was, the notion that was like super crazy about it was that he was the only like a non-Italian man to be made like a made man, which is like you can't non-killable, like it's like, dude, untouchable. There you go. That's an even better word. Unsquashable. But anyways, we have some big names coming through. Al Pacino, right? Fucking Joe Pesci.
Yeah, I saw Joe Pesci.
Fucking, and then, dude, it's like it's basically some of the original cast from like, you know, a lot of like Goodfellas, like, and stuff like that. Like, and also the weirder aspect of the trailer, and I mean, maybe you can kind of alliterate a little bit more and like trying to describe this. They CGI Robert De Niro like as a younger guy.
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah, and he looks younger because he's making calls when he's a younger guy, and I don't know if they're trying to like push the like, hey, like, you know, let's do scenes from when he was younger, but since we can't get someone that looks exactly like him, like, let's just CGI that, kind of the same way Star Wars did like Princess Leia. Fisher, and so
I'm surprised nobody has ever tried to go the Looper route. Remember how they did that with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce?
The Looper route.
And Bruce Willis.
That
was good. I liked that shit.
That was really good.
That was super believable.
They like, I don't know if they did it with cosmetics and then they kind of CGI'd it in also, but he looked like a young
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. And he like did really good at imitating him too, so it worked over. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah. I was just thinking about that right now.
I mean, that was a good segue.
Yeah, that was a great segue. I mean, it's I'm pretty stoked to see this film. It's coming out this year, right?
Yeah, isn't it like it's like
a fall film?
Netflix movie? I thought it was gonna be a Netflix movie.
Was it?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be just a regular film because it's a Scorsese film.
Introducing Netflix pornos.
And it's like, no, that would just ruin society. Like,
this guy knows everything. What's going on?
Mainly cosmetics done in Looper.
No,
nice.
There we go.
There you go. Keith Thompson.
Dude, this is our Jamie right here.
He's a godsend, not a Townsend.
Oh, hey, let's go.
Let's go. I mean, I'm super stoked for the film. Like I said, there's a lot of films that I feel like are gonna hit this year. This year's like a banger for films, and the cherry on top is obviously the end of the the fucking Star Wars series, right? The original series. But it's not in the fact that it's gonna be like super impressive, because I feel like people are really shaky on where this is gonna end. Yeah. But for me, it just marks the progress of, okay, the trilogy's done. What's next? Because
like, you talking about Star Wars now?
Star Wars, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying, like, this year in general is going to be a banger for years. Like, we just went to see like a sleeper film called The Art of Self-Defense.
Oh,
did not even think that was going to be good.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
Still gotta see it.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Irishman, Dave?
I was like half asleep when I saw the trailer, but it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I mean, you got all the greatest hits all together and shit, so. You can't not expect a banger on this one. But.
Oh, yeah.
What, isn't he? I thought the story was like he tries to assassinate. It's that failed assassination attempt on fucking the president.
Is it?
I don't know. I thought that's what it was.
Oh, wait. So let me just look up the synopsis of the film real quick, just to put it in the perspective for everyone. But
Ray as double agent theory. I don't know, man. I don't know about these theories. Like, I don't know, I've kind of got lost with them.
The biggest thing is, like, a mob hitman recalls his possible involvement with the slaying of Jimmy Hoffa. So Jimmy Hoffa is like a pretty big mob, or what is it? Is a politician or something like that. Damn it! Now I feel like I'm fucking the story up. But I mean, whenever Scorsese does anything, it's fucking crazy. So
yeah, for the most, I think you're right.
So
you're right.
We have that to go off. But moving on, let's maybe break it over to some more science, right, buddy?
Oh yeah, so science back in the science community. So everybody's always thinking, oh, NASA's gonna drive, future experiments and whatnot. But actually, the Bill Nye Science Project, which is totally crowdfunded, so that means your dollars, his dollars, my dollars, has made their first solar sail. So they launched into space a solar sail. So let me explain what a solar sail is. So basically,
let him speak.
so you know how with a regular sail ship. That's the word. What's this? Sail ship.
Oh
Just
yeah,
like
yeah,
a boat?
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sailboat. There we go.
Or whatever, yeah.
So it
Like
takes wind to push. To give it
oh
propulsion.
shit! Yeah, I think.
So
yeah.
they
was
take.
it you that was telling me about this shit?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So they take the sun's photons to give it propulsion. So what we could use with this in the future is that we can start pushing like satellites or whatever using solar photons.
What?
Yeah, so they don't need lots of fuel anymore. And also, say in the future we have a Mars colony. Let's say 100 years down the line, we actually have working colonies in Mars. We can actually use it to bring, without expending a lot of energy using, it'll take months, but like we'll have shipments going to and from Mars with the solar system. And this was something that was just crowdfunded, like nothing, no government hands in it. It's
it's Bill Nye.
He's our boy.
Nobody's seen Treasure Planet here? Didn't they do that shit with Treasure Planet? They were like on surfboards, and then they like open up and they would take the sun rays and like, Bill and I just got really high and saw Treasure Planet. And he's like, "Fuck, that's the future right there,
that's
bro.
The future, man.
Fund this, dude." It's like we have to, dude.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of what I just.
It'd be funny if like Bill Nye wasn't even a scientist, which a lot of people discredit him as not an actual scientist.
Why?
But it's like because I guess like he doesn't have as many accolades as like people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and like a bunch of other guys. It's very pop culture like guy.
Tyson is a G.
Yeah, I know, but it's like when you put him up and he knows tons of shit. Like I don't want to discredit Bill Nye at all because I look up to him and I feel like he's still doing more progressive things with science than other people.
This motherfucker taught me about hurricanes.
But the funnier thing is just like he's like, what if he wasn't like.
Dude, what if he was just some dude?
He was just some dude.
He was like, man, I learned all my shit in the library.
Yeah. And he's just...
I feel like I'd be more impressed that he had more respect to him.
Just high as hell. Someone gave him a bow tie. And they were
like, he has a degree in engineering.
Yes.
Thank you, Keith.
He's an engineer.
So but his fuck off.
No, I'm not saying... I said some people discredit
this guy doesn't like Bill Nye.
I love that guy. He's a degree in engineering. But they discredit his accolades compared to like a lot of other people that are in the like scientific community.
Oh, you mean haters?
Yeah. No, I know about those from high school. I like he's not getting ranked. But it would be funnier if he just got a bow tie and he was really high and then he was just like, dude, just read these prompt cards, and he's like, okay, let me just pretend to be a nerd, and then he made it. It would have been amazing.
But
yeah, I mean, he still taught kids, so I'd be like, dude, more power to you, bro.
More
power to you.
More people listen to him than anyone.
He's like the scientific Fred Rogers, if you will.
I like it.
I like that.
He also is like one of the people that I thought was super funny when he's just talking about climate change and he's so pissed about it.
Oh yeah,
because it's like he's so passionate about it, and it's
a fucking
real issue. Yeah, it's a real issue,
dude. I felt like, since we were like 8 years old, remember when Al Gore was going against
Inconvenient
George
Truth?
Bush?
Yeah, the Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah,
everyone talked about that.
Yeah, and I was like, I believed it back then as a kid, and now here am I as an adult, and I'm just like, man, why is nobody believing this shit?
Hey, dude, Keith, I did see his Netflix series.
I like
it. Was the shit.
It's funny and it's informative.
It's like a brand new
really?
reboot. It's like a reboot of the kids show, but all for
Netflix. Yeah, but like it's like I taught you when you were kids, and now I'm gonna talk to you as adults.
Holy shit.
And he makes his own show. It's pretty cool.
That's insane.
Yeah, and he brings in like scientists and stuff like that to talk about, like he'll do a little talk segment, and then he'll go on to be like doing random experiments, or like he has this one girl who's a model, and she like goes out to different things, and like I remember one specific I mean, dude, you gotta have sex appeal or else nobody's gonna want to watch.
Bill Nye's got bitches now. Oh, shit.
And then we got some girls in the car over here,
and they're just basically showing like how Italy, what's that city, Venice, is like sinking, and then they're just like, oh well, this is like things that they're working on experiment wise to keep water out so the city doesn't sink.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Does he have the rat on? You don't remember the rat?
Raton?
Yeah. The guy in the rat suit?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
no.
okay.
I always feel like An Inconvenient Truth was like a way for guys during that like what year did that come out? Like 2006? 2006?
7? Something like that.
Like all I picture is like guys in bars, like over 21 being like, yeah, I'm just like super concerned about the environment and shit. And then like just using all the facts from that movie, and the girl just going like, you're so cultured. And I was just like, this is what Al Gore wanted, right? Don't trust him. Don't trust him.
Who ties bring in the bitches? That's a good one.
It's guaranteed.
This Keith guy. This Keith guy is like easily the best character in our show.
Yeah. Hey, Keith.
Hey, Keith. Yeah, that seat represents Keith now.
Oh, yeah. All right. Do you want to move on?
Yeah. So, what is it?
So I wanted to bring this to your attention because I've been listening to this podcast called How Things Work, Yeah. It's been really awesome for me to like listen to something on the way. It's like 15 minutes, and all it'll do is like cover one thing. So it'll be like, how do barcodes work? And it'll walk you through it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's just
I love things like those. How shit works.
Two guys. Well, let me just look up the actual podcast name, but it's essentially. It's
the Pornocast.
Stuff You Should Know is the podcast, and essentially it's like, it just covers within 15 to sometimes an hour, like certain things, like short stuff. It covers like time zones. What were the Bone Wars? You know what I mean?
Bone Wars.
Yeah.
Bone Wars?
Yeah, I know, right?
I think that's still to come. CUM come.
How sloths work, like stuff like that. And I listened to this one about this guy, and I'm gonna butcher his name, but his name is Artiste de Sousa Mendes.
Yeah. Sousa's cousin.
Oh, maybe. Oh, damn, right. Or friend Sousa. Fucking shout out, son. But so this guy, they were just covering him. They started it off by saying like that unfortunately for this guy, but like fortunate now that we have the ability to kind of backtrack and figure out like who did what during like World War II and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It was discovered that this gentleman from Portugal actually saved more refugees from World War II than Oskar Schindler.
Refugees, yeah. Carlos's favorite.
Oh yeah, favorites. But in general, like the thing that was like just really spoke to me was like he didn't do it like in a weird heroic way, which is why he's not really a poster child for like a movie, you know, where it's like Oskar Schindler did it in a way where it was dramatized in a movie with like it's called Schindler's List. Obviously.
Schindler's List.
Liam
Schindler's
Neeson.
Piss.
Yeah, Liam Neeson.
Wasn't it the guy who played fucking
Liam Neeson? Yeah.
No, wasn't it the guy that played fucking Voldemort? What's his name?
I don't know the actor that played Voldemort.
In Schindler's List?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about just Oskar Schindler, the guy from Schindler's List.
Yeah, motherfucker, Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the guy who played fucking Voldemort?
Keith
Townsend, hit me up. What's up? I don't even need you, bro. Our original Jamie now is Keith. Now he hasn't said anything. God damn it.
Who's that actor?
Who plays Voldemort? Eddie Izzard.
No, that's not. That's the Lego Batman movie. What is that shit?
This is how misinformation starts, man.
Dude,
it's like horrible Googlers are ruining fucking shit.
Okay, it's voiced by Eddie Izzard, but where's the actual... Oh, no. Dude, I can't find it.
This is the Wikipedia, man?
Dude,
no wonder I will never donate money to this shit.
How many drugs? All right,
Ralph Fiennes, yes.
Ralph Fiennes. There we go.
There you go. Thank you.
Dang, he was faster than
wasn't
me.
Hey, Keith, wasn't he in fucking Schindler's List, or am I all fucked up?
He's fucked up.
Fiennes.
And Eduardo Giovanni Esquivel asks, how many drugs are you guys on right now?
It would be easier to tell you how many we aren't on. What's up, Eddie?
Yeah. What up, boy? We've been trying to get him on the
Eddie,
show, but he hates us.
Get your ass over here, bro.
Yeah, we've tried. I've tried multiple times. I offered dick suckings.
Did you offer mine, though?
Yeah. Oh, wait, never mind.
I'm in on that shit.
What's up? Let me spruce up this deal real quick. But, okay, so... He actually saved way more people than Oskar Schindler did. And one of the things that I thought was crazier is that he didn't do it like in a dramatic way. He was just somebody who was approving visas for people to come in. During that time in Portugal actually had a dictator. And that dictator said pretty much their policy during that time was, we don't want to accept any refugees from anywhere in Europe because we don't want there to be a situation where if Hitler does win, he's going to get super pissed. Right? So... this man, like knowing many Jews in Portugal and like having the power to approve visas because he's in charge of that, essentially just says to himself, like, has a conversation like, am I a guy who would be just as guilty of killing these people if I didn't accept them into my country, you know, as the people who are actually killing them? And I mean, obviously with him, he had like a moral dilemma with it, and he broke. And what he just started doing was just approving every single person that came through without question. That's awesome. He saved over 9,000 people. He accepted over 9,000 people and let them through the gates to Portugal.
I think I've heard of this guy,
Yeah. So this guy...
I guess we were both right. Liam Neeson and both Ralph were in.
Ralph Fiennes.
Then it's like...
Just a beat up Kevin competition.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm either right or slightly right. I'm never wrong. Never wrong.
I just feel like it's just a testament to like how people could get forgotten in history. You know what I mean? Because I never heard about this guy growing up, like in high school, or Miss Morrison didn't ever told me about this guy. So like,
damn, bro.
Shout out Miss Morrison. I don't know.
Miss Morrison was dope.
She's really damaging to my psyche apparently. But I thought it was crazy that we never really like
prop this guy up. God damn it! You proved your point, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I wanted to point out. You're on my shoulder, Keith, right now. Yeah, pushed to the side of history. Never really known about him. The U.S. government actually post World War II, I guess sent like something like some form of like embassy representative to go over and be like, hey, we really think it's kind of weird that you guys don't honor this guy. You know what I mean? For saving as many people as he did. And I guess post that has his daughter's done a huge campaign to kind of revitalize like his dad's like her dad's image, you know, legacy, yeah, and then really instate it. So now there's statues of him and murals and stuff, and people really look like now are kind of really proud of having one of their citizens like essentially make such a drastic change in the scope of history, if you really think about it. Yeah. They have a list somewhere where they talk about all the people who came out of the people he saved, and there's like,
and it's called Sousa's list.
Yeah, it's called Sousa's list. Yeah, and
is it really?
No. Oh. Is it really? But I mean, doctors, university starters, like people who went on to like invent crazy things. You know what I mean? So it's like those kind of things really ring true to me, and I think that's like something I feel like we miss out on a lot, especially like forgotten pieces of history that no one tries to bring back.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of like the guy from Aurora that brings out crosses to all the mass shootings and shit, like, you know. And now recently they've been giving him a lot of recognition in the Facebook page.
Yeah, I didn't go over that a little because I actually heard about that, but I don't know the actual facts.
Yeah, I didn't fully understand it. So on the Aurora, I just saw like somebody took a picture of the truck. Was that you?
No, Steve's the one that's been. I think he actually knows the guy.
Yeah, he goes. They go to the same like family church or whatever.
Yeah, but. Basically, since like Columbine, since like the first one, this guy is actually like he goes out and he like makes like a cross. He's like retired. He's a retired carpenter, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what was his name? Greg. I don't want to fuck up his name. No, it's like Greg.
don't you do that?
Serious? No, and then so he makes like crosses and he like drives them all the way out there.
Out to the place.
Yeah, and like this whole time, like Virginia, you know, all these like fucking Virginia terrible. Tech, yeah, he's been driving them all out, and then. Like not too long ago when it happened here, he was like, they even interviewed him and he's like, wow, I never thought, or I don't know if they interviewed him.
His name is Greg Zanis.
Zanis, there you go. Yeah, and he said like, I never.
I thought he was on your side.
I know. I'm just cracking out.
Yeah, I guess he said like he never thought he'd drive down the street to like, you know, put a cross. And then now the two that went back to back, now he's driving from Houston to El Paso. Yeah, because he's doing every single one.
Man.
And so recently now they're like, even, you know, Steve said that he's going to like.
Does somebody have like a GoFundMe? Because this dude.
I think there was like a fake GoFundMe or some shit.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. People were making fake GoFundMes to take money.
Yeah.
That's.
What a fucking dick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some grimy ass shit.
That's some karma shit that's going to come back at you, I think. I mean,
that's a study that I think our podcast should do. Try to figure out who's doing fake GoFundMe.
And when we go organize a fucking gang beating of them.
And we expose
Pretty
them.
Sure it's illegal.
That's mob action.
You just talked about mob action, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, in the same era of World War II, do you guys want to move on to 1871?
Yeah. Bring us on. So, we watched the 1871 trailer.
That one was bad as.
What is your first thoughts on it?
What you get?
War. That's my first thought.
War.
Who's the director?
It's 1917. Sorry.
1917.
The director did something else.
1917. So we're gonna fix that right now, dude. You know, in the title it says 1871.
It's all right, dude. Those just numbers.
Oh, it's 1971. I told
1917. Sorry, you just have the two.
I'm dyslexic, bro. You can't make fun of me for that, man. That's the problem.
Benedict Cumberbatch is in it.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Kombucha.
Yeah, which is like secretly in any movie he's in from now on. I just want him to just like
He can fix all of this, dude.
He just like
he goes to the guys and they're like, all right, yeah, I'll do it.
He's just like, and he's just like,
guess I'll kill myself.
Shoulder touching everyone. Everyone's just like extra projecting out. He's like, I don't know. I mean, it's you'd have a point. It's the same guy who directed.
Because they said it in the trailer. He's like the director of whatever. And I was like, oh, hey, that's pretty good.
hey, that's pretty
obviously not good enough to remember.
Right? I mean, his
it was like.
So wait, hold on. 1917. That's the First World War, right? Correct.
Yeah. Sam Mendes. So Sam Mendes is the guy directing it, and what else did he direct? He directed Skyfall.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right.
Road to Perdition and
Road to Perdition. What?
Revolutionary Road, American Beauty, which is in 1999. And then he was an actor in a couple other things. He was also Inspector in Skyfall. Are they rebooting that series?
I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know.
No more Daniel Craig. I love Daniel Craig in that show.
I don't know. There was rumors that it was going to be Idris Elba, but
fuck yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Spider-Man, that shit. Well, my first impressions of that trailer are number one. There's this one part where he goes up to the corner of what is a bridge, and he just lays out a sniper or some sort of gun. I can't really tell off the look. Like
rifle.
You can always do it. Like Kevin is really good at just being like, that's a 1970. Blah, 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 blah. And
if I see it, I'm gonna call out the gun.
He's call it. He's like, oh,
it's a Remington 3000.
That's a Remington 3000. He's like, how do you know that? And he's like, I've been working with guns for about 17 years.
In the army, we used to call that a skippy. You hear how it sounds when it shoots? A skip. Like, yeah, you made that shit up.
That's bullshit.
You made that shit up.
So like Kevin will always do that, and that's the thing is because his immersion is ruined by
yeah, I heard about that too, and I didn't know if that was real. That the 007 was going to be a woman. I didn't want to repeat that because it's
going to be a black woman.
Do you know what's I think is super weird? That in Charlie's Angels, a reboot.
They're not men.
They're not men.
They should have just made.
They should have reappropriated that for men.
They should have been an Asian gang, bro.
Yeah.
K-pop group or some shit.
Los Ángeles de Charlie, güey. No manches. Todos pinches mexicanos.
De Charles, güey.
Es el chavo de Ocho and
shit. And then the main guy is the new heavyweight champion, fucking Andy Ruiz. Dude, I want
What the fuck?
Fuck yeah. I'm gonna say, I don't know. So first impressions, right? He goes up to a bridge. He fucking points the thing off. And
it's a rumor.
And he pops off, right? He just goes, boom, slams into a fucking house, and he just pulls it. And I'm like, oh, this is immersing me. And then the next thing I see is, like, they're running through trenches. He's running across the field. There's a full squadron of people going over the trench running, right? And it's like, boom, boom. And I was like, whoa. This is a big-ass budget film, man.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm sorry, are we still talking about 007?
No, we're talking about 1917.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, I don't remember that shit in 007. I'm like nodding along.
I don't know what the hell.
We're talking about trench warfare, baby.
Yeah, trench warfare, man.
Oh, yeah, it looks badass.
I mean, after playing Battlefield 1 as much as we did.
Oh, God, that game was amazing.
That game was so good.
And it's funny because we didn't even play Battlefield 5.
No.
And it was just not appealing to me.
It didn't. They released it and it was just like half done. Yeah. It was just half cooked. They should just waited a year and added so much more content. Yeah. But back to the movie, I really feel like there also this is like what I like about it. It's not told through the common American like, oh, Americans. Like we really want to see Americans and shit because it really like brings us like patriotically to it, which is why World War II films are really successful hits in the U.S. Because like Saving Private Ryan, immensely successful film.
Saving Private Ryan was
Band of Brothers.
Yeah, Band of Brothers, and all those that did well globally. It didn't just do well here, but like
remember Enemy at the Gates?
Yes,
that was a good one.
That was a good one. Did you see the Christopher Nolan film? The other one that
Dunkirk. I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
So that's like another.
I haven't watched
that. One's the shit, bro.
Dude, you said you were gonna bring
Tom
me to
Hardy's
watch
eyes
and you
is so sexy.
Hey, wait, no, hey.
No way, no.
You said we were gonna watch it together.
No, bro. I'll take you next week.
It hurts, doesn't it?
It
hurts.
This is like Chuck E. Cheese's all over again. This is like Chuck E. Cheese's all over again. I really feel like Dunkirk was good because it's like the rendition of that through like a different war and battle, and also it's just about like Europeans going at it. And that film was super suspenseful because like
dude, it was bad.
A quarter of the film is like the guy's coming in and he's going, and I'm just like, and then everyone's just like, they're coming.
Yeah, dude, that shit sucks.
You would love that part. Everyone's like staring. Dude. You hear it. It like the sound is so good in theater. Like you hear it.
I didn't even see it in theater, but
it was good. Oh, dude, in theater it was like fucking. It was.
I know. I really wanted to see it.
Like it was like. like I was suspended, dude. I kept on looking behind me. I was like, but it was like in theaters now. The surround sound's that good that it will go like behind you and stuff. Yeah. But I was like, at one point, I remember I was with my girlfriend Kristen, and I just like. Yeah. And then it was like, and then I looked down and I went like this, and I was like, blood. And then she was like,
I thought it wasn't real. Fucking Matrix and shit.
And then I looked down.
Mind makes it real.
Kristen was just like, no, you gotta stop drinking those red Slurpees like that, man.
And he's like, I
don't know. It was really tough. I mean, I'm super stoked for that film. I think it comes out like later in the fall. Yeah. I'm just excited to kind of get back into like a epic war tale. And the premise of the movie is a guy is being sent down to tell a squadron not to rush.
It's a message, right? Yeah. And if they don't send it, then a bunch of people will die, and the dude's father
and the dude's brother's in that squadron. Yeah. So he's trying to save his brother, and him and the other two dudes are essentially like the fastest of
like,
that.
If you fail, your brother will die. Like, no pressure. All right, cool, man. Yeah, sure.
It's like you could have not told me that.
I would have done it regardless, but all right.
Thousands
now I feel more sad about it if I don't do it.
And your brother.
Bitch. And then
he's like, you know what? Your brother's not even there, but I'm gonna send a message to kill him if this fails.
Yeah, like your brother's just a medic at the back end of that, but they will murder him. But I was like, we will kill him.
We'll do it.
We'll do it just to prove a point.
Sarah, Keith says, in 1917 there is the Einfeld. The 1903 Springfield. That's an American.
All right, Keith. Now you're just like whipping out your dick for no reason.
I like this, Keith.
No, the Moisen Nagant, which is popularized by the Russians, and the Car 98, which I don't know which faction used them the most. I think it was the Brits.
You're packing heat.
Keith is killing it because three of these things are in the Battlefield 1 game.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. In the Battlefield 1, you use the.
I think the Einfeld was used by the French a lot. I think, if I stand correct.
Yeah, that's why they fucking failed, man. Actually,
my favorite one was the 1903 Springfield.
The French did such a strong part of like the World War One that I think that's so ridiculous that I had to go to Paris and go to their war museum for them, because I always thought like, oh man, the French fucking dipped out of World War II with a bunch of assholes, right? But then what really happened was like
German. Okay, there we go.
They were so devastated from the First World War. That like that they were
this Das Boot. It's also from Germany.
Just getting in fights with everyone online.
No, I'm not getting I like Keith. I was calling him Kevin.
I was like calling him Keith. But it's like I really feel like I never knew that in World War I, like
Einfield was British. Okay.
Every single like people who sent people to the war, the French lost like half their population from that shit.
Yeah.
And like. They were so devastated that when World War II came, like the whoever was in charge, the president or I don't know what they call him there, was just like, if I send my people to war, like my people will never know what French citizens are. Like we will just die out essentially. So it's
our culture will die.
What was the last war movie that you saw that you felt was really good?
They really hit it off for me.
Just Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was big. I don't know. You know, I really like that Mark. I know this one was kind of cheesy and weird, but that Mark Wahlberg one where they're like running. There's 4 Navy SEALs that get dropped in.
Oh, that was a good one.
And then and they were.
I like that one.
And then the Mark Wahlberg gets saved.
All spoilers. They all fucking die.
Yeah, except for Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, they like fucking start falling.
They hella die. They die hard.
Wasn't that based on a true story?
Mark Wahlberg gets saved by a citizen or basically somebody there who takes him into hiding because. The practice of like Muslim teachings tells them like, hey, we should save them. Like, you know, like you should never. Why would you deny aid to like someone who's like in danger or like, you know, being persecuted or something like that. So actually he took him, he hit him, and then now that guy who played Mark Wahlberg, that character in real life, goes and visits him like I don't know, like every other year or something.
Really?
Like that. Yeah, and they're still friends. Yeah. I guess he appreciates him that much because obviously he saved his life, and that in the movie is obviously dramatized, but like actually some of it is like super. It is
Lone Survivor,
Lone Survivor. There you go.
Damn.
It was based on truth, and like and I mean it's incredible.
Can we just have Keith on every?
I think Keith is going to kill it every single podcast.
He can just be our Jamie, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
Keith, I'm extending an invitation.
So I don't know. That was pretty cool. So 1917.
Wait, what about you, Kevin? I was going to call you Keith. I'm sorry.
Dude, I'm gonna want to watch it because
Dunkirk.
No, but I'm saying, what was the last war movie that you saw that was like decent in your eyes? Also, Keith, that goes for you too. Answer.
Shoot, for me, I haven't watched a lot of films. I've recently just started watching a lot of films because Jose's been bringing me out to a lot of them. But I don't know. I think for me would just be the Band of Brothers series. Man.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was the lasting to impress.
Was that on HBO or was that Showtime?
That was on HBO.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I had like the tin of all the DVDs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I do.
Shit, let me borrow them.
And yeah, if I can find it.
Oh, fuck. I have it on. I have the HBO Now thing, so maybe.
Oh yeah, it's probably on there. But yeah, because I remember watching it, and I remember I spent one weekend back in high school, and I spent the entire weekend watching every single like episode, because every single episode is like a movie long. So I'm just sitting here just huddled up in a fucking dark room watching Band of Brothers.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've heard that a lot everywhere too.
Yeah, watch that. I actually have the reason you can't find that is because
you went to high school with all of
Did I go to high school with them?
Yeah, but you left after after freshman year?
Sophomore year.
And then you left after sophomore year.
At the end of sophomore year.
Yeah. So yeah, we all went to high school, but you guys, I don't know if you guys know Keith.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I think mine was Fury.
Fury?
Which one was that?
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was the last one that I saw that was decent.
With Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, with Shia LaBeouf. And even though it was like, I think it was culturally inaccurate because they had a Mexican as what was his name? The dude from fucking all the Marvel movies. Yeah. That was like.
That was pretty fucking.
It was still hilarious. Yeah, I was like, I'm so glad they put him in there because it's just funny as shit. But it was a good ass.
It was a good movie.
Yeah, I like that one. That was like I'm like, not of all time, just like the last one that I saw that was like pretty good in my eyes.
That came out post Lone Survivor, I think, and I really did like Fury too. I don't know. I mean, there's that genre of movie is something we don't really explore that much on this podcast.
Which
but I
one?
think it's like just like war movies or war.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like it was very
war never changes.
It's such a wow. Your references are so great.
You're so cultured.
Yeah, I know. Bitch.
Keith says his favorite film?
Best war film would have to be 13 Hours. Not technically war, but still pretty decent one.
13 Hours. Which one's that one?
Is that the one with the guy?
Favorite film would be Saving Private Ryan.
There you go. Saving Private Ryan. That just has such a high level. So one of the things
I like how Medal of Honor, that one game, just like completely copied
ripped
the
it up.
entire. I love that
the
shit.
Normandy beach.
Yeah,
that game. Remember we played that game? We're like,
down to like the guy that pukes in the fucking boat and shit, the U-boat. I was like, oh, that's just like fucking. And it's like, fuck, this is real.
I don't know if you played Conker's Bad Fur Day, but they they did the same thing too. Even with the guy like looking for his arm.
Oh shit.
Oh man. But yeah, no, those movies take such a huge budget. Like it's just like such a huge budget to shoot those movies. So like you have to be so funded and backed up by a film studio that they give you creative like liberties. Because the thing is, like, if you think about a movie like Black Hawk Down, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's a crazy good movie. Some people that are veterans from like the military still have problems seeing that movie because of like how realistic they felt like that was.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the aspects to that movie that was crazy was just like how much they did do, like started doing CGI involving all that stuff. Like the amount of money they spent on like all this, the rounds, fake rounds they were blasting, Humvees going through and out of buildings, renting out and making this like, I don't know if they did live, like they went anywhere to actually.
Did you ever see The Hurt Locker?
Yeah,
that one was good too.
That one's really good.
I saw it, but I don't.
Oh yeah, Hurt Locker. That's the one with the
dude from Nighthawk. What's his name? Or Hawkeye?
Yeah. I know the actor, but I'm talking about the EOD. That's the career field. It is.
Oh,
explosives and ordnance and whatnot.
Shit.
Yeah, those dudes are wild.
Clint Barton. All right. So let's move on to another film, right?
Yes, the PB&J Falcon.
So talking about Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, talking about Shia LaBeouf. These segues are getting good. Damn. I like them.
So Peanut Butter Falcon. I have no idea about it. What
they go together like peanut butter and
bacon.
Ladies.
So Peanut Butter Falcon is something I found. I actually showed this one to David. I almost never show him anything he doesn't already know about, but it's just kind of it's like a yeah, that's it. It's like a feel good movie. Like I haven't seen like Shia LaBeouf in a lot of stuff lately, so to see him in this,
doesn't he play like a mentally handicapped person again?
No, in this film? That's the other guy. But you talking about Shia LaBeouf?
Oh, in this film?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In this film, yeah.
Or are you talking about something he's done recently?
I'm just talking about this.
Oh no. So this film is about like a kid who is like he has Down syndrome and he's like in a place where they're taking care of him.
Oh, now I remember. Yeah. Now it's all coming back to me.
But his caretaker there, like the older guy, was like essentially saying to him, he's like, he wants to be a wrestler, right? Like he just really wants to do this, right? And he's like, you're diverting him from his passion. And I don't know if it's his sister or like his caretaker there. The girl is like, no,
it's probably his sister.
It's probably his sister, right? Yeah. I mean, that's on plot moving subject. I feel like that's probably gonna stick them together a little bit harder. But he another thing that's super cool. Like I don't know where he got this, probably from a movie, but he bends the bars outside of his room by grabbing some towels or wet towels, right, and like pulling on them sideways, and then essentially creating a gap. And then he greases himself up and he squeezes out of the bar. So then like a grease thing. Yeah. So he's just running in his underwear at the beginning, and I'm just like, wow, this dude's killing it out here. Like, and it's like, I don't know, they can contain him for shit. And he finds Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf's like some tumbleweed guy, he's like just being Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, right. That's actually funny because when I see him in that movie, I'm like, I just thinks that's Shia LaBeouf. Like,
is this a documentary?
Yeah, right.
Is this a movie? So, I can't tell.
He tells him he wants to go to this wrestling like camp or basically like academy or something like that. And he's like, I'll take your shit up there.
It's like their tryouts. Yeah. And shit.
So he does that. One of the funniest things in the trailer that I think is super funny is like rule number 1. What's rule number 1? Like and the rule's like, you know, like never run away or something like that. He's like, what is rule number 1? And he's like, party.
For me, it was when he's like, I don't want to go. And he grabs the keys and he throws them in the ocean. And he's like, he starts like dancing in his underwear and shit.
That just looks like one where I'm going to be like, it's like, oh man, there's so much salt in this popcorn. I think I got it in my eye.
It looks good.
It looks good. Like a real like feel good film.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's see that one.
Let's do that one.
All right.
No, I wrote that's the actual list that says Velcro on it. And I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna cover this shit.
We're gonna cover Velcro. God damn. Was the okay, Dave? What going to the recent film you just watched?
Oh, okay, yeah, the Farewell.
The Farewell. Okay.
Dude, that movie was First off, it's not like in your it might be now, but back when it came out, like it was only in select theaters. We had to fucking drive out to like Chicago and shit.
Really?
Yeah, like one of those like artsy fucking.
Artsy fartsy.
Yeah, it was pretty dope though. We went out there, we saw it, dude.
So
I don't know why they keep saying it's a comedy.
What is it? What is it about? Like,
so it's with that actress Awkwafina. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Awkwafina, the drink.
Yes, she's moonlighting as an actress, but no, she it's this. I don't know what she is. I don't know if she's like a rapper. I don't know if she's a rapper or like I don't know. I saw her in fucking Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, Awkwafina.
Yeah, she's pretty funny. But in this movie, she does like a complete 180.
Yeah.
And she does like
I know those.
Super dramatic role. Like I couldn't even recognize her. I'm like, holy shit, it's the same girl.
Oh, it's my girlfriend.
Yeah, it was a fucking good ass movie, dude.
It's really funny. In this picture, she's holding a hammer.
Is he?
Yeah.
That seems
that seems like a girl that he would date. She's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's just like, okay, her grandma's diagnosed with cancer and she's gonna die, but in that culture, in the Chinese culture, they don't tell them when they're dying because it's like they have like a whole philosophy behind it.
You live longer because of it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's up for debate. And then that's like the whole conundrum of the movie, is that she's like, "What the fuck? We need to tell her," and everybody's like, "Don't you fucking tell her." Yeah, and they set up a whole like I think it's like a fake wedding to like get the whole family together so that everybody sees the grandma one last time before she passes away.
That's so fun.
And it's hilarious because the grandma's like, "Oh, you're so awesome," and she's like so cute, and they're like. They're trying to be all like strong and shit. It's fucking hilarious. And then like when it gets to like the culmination of like the whole thing, like when they're in the wedding, oh man, it's fucking good.
Yeah. Did it bring a tear to your eye?
Hell yeah, man! I was crying. Like it's the first movie that like I had like tears going down my face and shit.
Well, I want to watch it now.
And like, but it's not only just like it's not one of those movies where you just get fucked the whole fucking time and you're just like sad. It's just like a
it's
you're like laughing and then you're like
I Am Sam. For me, like that movie, I don't know why, but like just from beginning to end, I'm just like, oh, they're ruining his life. He's teaching her things, just not the right things, but his heart's in the right place.
That's like the first movie that Dakota Fanning came out in.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah.
You know what's super fucking crazy? Like watching her grow up.
I know. That's what I was thinking about when we were watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was like, what the fuck? We've seen this girl since she was like a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking gracias.
And then what was it with Tom Cruise? War of the Worlds?
Oh, yeah.
That one was pretty good. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic, but yeah, it was. You go from like laughing to crying, and it's like even though it was weird, like the moment that I had like a weird, I was like, man, it's even though it's like a different culture, you feel like there's a moment where they're in the house and they're like cooking shit, and I could relate because I'm like, yeah, like I've been to a Mexican household where the whole family gets together and they're like cooking tamales or some shit, and I think they're cooking like dumplings or something, but it's like, you know, they're rolling out the dough and shit. I'm like, oh, it's like tortillas. It's like, you know, I'm like, oh shit, I can relate to this. This is still like, you can feel it. Yeah. And then at the end, it's like, dude, you really feel it. You know, everybody's had a grandma or.
You look.
Yeah, man. It was rough.
Not me. I never had no grandma.
Really?
No, I'm just fine. Yeah, I had two. They're still alive too. That's
like
really
I've
bad.
had 4.
Like, yeah, no, I like it.
Nah, you should definitely go see it though. It's really good.
Man, that sounds awesome. Do you want us to switch over to The Art of Self-Defense?
Okay. So in other news,
A little tit for tat on this.
Yeah, a little tit for tat. So you didn't watch The Art of Self-Defense.
No,
Okay,
sorry.
so me and Jose saw Art of Self-Defense, and I remember we had watched the trailer, and what brought me into it was, what was that actor's name?
Did I show you a trailer for that?
Yeah.
A long time ago, though.
Yeah, a long time ago. That's why I had already forgotten about the movie. Then we watched. I was like, oh, that was that scene.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, hey, you can't talk like that in the theater. It's like, dude, is this guy seasoned or something? Oh, man. So you forgot the girl's name.
No, the guy's name, what he's like.
Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah, but I meant the other actor who played the antagonist. But basically, the antagonist character just goes, it's like, what do you listen to? And Eisenberg's character was saying, I was like, I listen to classic contemporary and shit like that. And he was like, no, you need to listen to metal.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So basically, the whole premise of the movie is, The Art of Self-Defense, where Jesse Eisenberg, that's his name?
I hate that actor. I'm sorry.
No, he's good in this film.
He's good in this film
because
he's
it's
good
awkward.
In this film.
It's awkward,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I'll only accept him in Zombieland. Other than that, I hate him.
Double tap, son.
He was good in this film.
That's the only one I'm allowing him to come back in my life.
Jesus.
I was playing out. Go ahead.
But so Jesse Eisenberg, he gets basically like he gets what do you call that? Random act of violence?
Like assaulted.
Yeah. So it's a random act of violence. He's just literally go get some shit at the convenience store, and he gets his ass kicked as he goes. So then he is like afraid to leave his fucking house at night. Yeah. And at first he tries to get a gun, but he doesn't. But then he ends up joining this karate class. And from this karate class, it turns into like a Fight Club-esque film.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It goes down the rabbit hole.
Dude, it just starts spiraling. Like, because you watch it first, you're like, what's going on? This just seems like some weird film. And then it just starts spiraling. You're like, what the fuck? Like, everything comes full circle. Just like how you watch Fight Club. And Fight Club was one of my favorite films. Yeah, and I'm going to have to say that this is my second favorite film. Oh, shit. Because it's very reminiscent of it, but in its own way. And it's got a lot of dark humor in there. That it's like me and Jose were cracking the fuck up.
Sergio literally... He laughed for a minute and a half after the joke that happened.
He was rolling in his chair, laughing his ass off. At one joke that just finished, it was just like abruptly done. That joke was just there, and then he was still cracking up because a lot of these jokes, it was like
that. Just to put it in perspective for you, just the same way we'd say like Alita Battle Angel, except for the fact that movie ended, we would go watch that again with you if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we would go. Miguel would watch that. Like, we'd watch it with Carlos.
Well, let's fucking go, bro. What time is it? Shit.
Put the vacay on pause.
Everybody's watching it. Come, let's go.
But I cannot recommend that film enough. I mean, what would you give Farewell?
Oh, it was like a strong 9.
Yeah?
9.5.
9.5? So, like,
definitely. No, we're doing the 5 ratings now. So it'd be
4.5.
Okay, then.
Then.
5?
Fuck, yeah. I feel like it would be a 5.
Yeah. So that's why I like the 5 rating, because there's a lot better tipping factor on that. But that makes me like say The Farewell is like a must see, right? Which is like, I would say for me, if you are into dark comedies, if you are into things that are a little darker, where it's just like, wow, that's kind of fucked up.
Kind of fucked up. Yeah.
That's like, it's a 5 out of 5 because it takes you on a ride, man.
Mm-hmm. See, but I don't know. I feel like my rating would be like, if you ain't got shit to do, roll a fatty, light it up, have a drink, and like watch it. Not like, don't expect this to be like, oh, you know, move shit around, cancel, you know,
Inception,
cancel dates to like see this shit. No, it's like, I feel like it's something that it's an experience where, like, you know, when you have time on your hands, like, to go experience it. This feels like, oh, this shit's hilarious. Like, this is like,
So the where I would put it is if like the rating system for 4 out of 5 is like, that movie was the shit. I could say like The Art of Self-Defense lies there, but it's like it tips on 5 for sure because that movie was the fucking shit. Like that is synonymous with a lot of our friend group. But for most people, I would say that movie's the shit. Like, I think it's a really, really good movie. It's only an hour and like 40 minutes.
It's one of those films that...
And it's in theaters? I'd never seen anything about it.
Oh, yeah, man. So it was like one that I knew I wanted to watch. And when I saw like the movie time, I didn't even see that it was out. I just saw that it was in the movie times on Fandango.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, that's out.
Let's go fucking watch it, bro.
I decided to watch it within 5 minutes. And then 20 minutes later, we're at the theater.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was like spur of the moment.
So, yeah. So basically that film, it would be... I would say it would hit like later on. It would probably be like a cult classic type of thing because it
can make a roundabout.
It's not gonna hit everyone. You know, there's gonna some people who are probably be turned off by
they're late on the train and shit.
Yeah,
I remember like Napoleon Dynamite when Napoleon Dynamite came out. Nobody saw it, and then Jose was like, "Dude, you got to see this fucking shit." We're in fucking high school.
It becomes a cult classic. So this is one of those things where it's a cult classic, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, you know, later on.
You know, Hot Rod has made a full comeback too.
Dude, my girl hasn't seen it. I'm like, all right, cancel everything. We're watching that shit.
Cancel everything.
That movie's a 5 out of 5. It is the fucking shit.
Yeah. I think I said a line, and I'm like, yeah, Hot Rod, right? So, you know, they're like,
but so. So the thing that I actually liked a lot about this film is there's certain topics they hit on, like misogyny and stuff like that, you know, because the main character or the main antagonist is just like it's like she'll never get a black belt because she's a woman.
It's pretty bad,
dude. Fuck that guy, bro.
But yeah, like, but later on, I'm not gonna ruin it. But like I said, everything in the film comes full circle.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Is this movie still playing?
In theaters? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move back to you. What is another movie that you saw?
Bach, Lion King.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is gonna be a good one. Let's talk.
I need another beer for this one. This shit. Okay, so pros. Amazing CGI.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You felt like you were in the jungle.
The intro especially. Oh man, it was so good. The worst part is I bought tickets when the pre-sale was open. I bought tickets twice because I'm like, oh, I'm going to see it with my girl. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to see it with my dad the day after. And then my dad canceled on me because some shit happened. So I took Ivan.
No, I'm kidding.
I know, basically. Thank you. Yeah. And then the next one was 3D. So I got to see it in like normal. Nice. And they were both IMAX. So it's like normal IMAX and then IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
So I got to see it with Ivan and shit. And like, and I was like staying quiet because like I really wanted to see what he thought. And like, yeah, we agreed on a lot of the same shit too. And okay, so the intro, amazing. The whole intro, the circle of life and all that shit. Yeah. And then in 3D, remember remember the scene with the ants are going with the leaves and then the zebras? In 3D, dude, that scene is so fucking badass, dude. It looks so beautiful. And like, yeah, overall, the movie is fucking beautiful. Okay, here's where you have a lot of fucking problems is that they shot it like scene for scene almost exactly
with the old movie.
Exactly the same. Okay. Except they changed dialogue and then they changed actors and shit. And it's like, okay, if you're just going to go scene for scene, fuck it. Might as well just keep all the same. Like get the old recordings. Just make the exact same movie except make it CGI.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's exactly what you're doing anyways, except you're taking out all the funny shit and you're replacing it. I will say Seth Rogen was he was one of the only characters that was hitting strong.
Saving Grace.
He's the only one that fucking, like, his character was like, shit.
Which one was his character?
He was Pumbaa.
Okay, perfect.
His shit was like, it was still hitting. I was like, dude, okay, yeah. Seth Rogen's the old, so far, like, his shit
Someone passed this warthog a blunt. It's like
yeah, dude, it was hilarious. Like, they were hitting strong with that one. But everybody, I mean, dude, and I love Beyonce, bro, but God.
Yeah, they were saying she was so bad.
God. And what was it? What was it?
She was Nala.
No. She was no, and I was like, hell yeah. And then they do, like, the songs and shit. And, like, I don't want to be a fucking, like, stickler or whatever.
Stickler.
Dude, like, all the songs that she sang, like the Can You Feel the Love Tonight? She's like, oh my God, dude. She's like riffing every other fucking line. She's like, she's Mariah. What the fuck are you doing,
She's
man?
Mariah carrying in that shit.
Nah, bro. Like, hell. Like, I was just like, what the fuck, dude? You're ruining my childhood. Yeah,
it's like Jack Black when he does like.
No, but that shit's funny, and this shit was just like, what are you doing?
No, but I'm saying at the same note, like this, like the octaves are like. Yeah, I know.
No, and it's just, and then okay, so like the main thing that pissed me off was the fucking scene where Mufasa comes back. Remember where Rafiki? Okay, first off, Rafiki's dead. The guy who made his voice is dead. They bring a whole nother guy. I understand the guy's dead. You have to make a new guy or whatever. And then he's not doing any of the lines. Like, he's saying the lines, but, I mean, he's
not providing the emotion behind
exactly. Like, Rafiki was hilarious. And you didn't know if he was crazy or if he was super wise.
Yeah, it's a Confucius thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, an old, like, guy. Like, there's like, is this guy wise or really, just fucking
really
crazy?
Exactly. They're eccentric and wise.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's
like
what
all
I
those
aspire to be.
All those, yeah. Yeah, all those classic lines are like, correction, I know your father. You know?
Oh, yeah.
All that shit, like, it's not
your
there.
Father.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds Asian.
Then he's like, look down there. You don't remember that shit?
Oh, yeah.
He lives in you. None of that shit was there, bro.
And then he's like hitting people with the staffs, like,
I know, and he's like, it doesn't matter, it's in the past. You know, like all that shit.
And it's like, dude, this dude is rolling hard.
I know. I was like, this motherfucker, you're saying some shit. Yeah, none of that was there. And then, so it comes to the scene, I'm like, all right, this is where they're going to, either they have to nail it. How can you not nail it? The scene where he's like, oh, that's just my reflection. Mm-hmm. And then that's when it's like, Simba and all that.
Simba.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest letdowns for me of the fucking movie, man. They change all his dialogue. They don't show his face. It's like lightning kind of strikes, and you can kind of see like, oh, I think those were his eyes. No, wait, I don't know if I fucking imagine that. And you're like, nah, I don't, no. And then you don't see his fucking face. Whereas like in the original,
Oh, so it's like the nature is the spirit or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you hear his voice. But then, like, they changed the fucking dialogue.
Dude, I hear voices all the time. It's fucking fine.
But then they changed the dialogue. That's what pissed me off is, like, the dialogue was word for word. There was no fat in that, dude. Like, it was, like, word for word perfect. What does he say? Where he's like, you've forgotten me, or remember? And he's like, oh, you've forgotten who you are, and in turn have forgotten me. He's like, you are more than what you have become. It's like one of the most realist moments. Yeah. It's like super fucking deep.
Yeah, as a kid.
They changed all that shit. He's like, I love you, man. I love you, bro.
You're doing a great job.
Fucking, I don't know. Do whatever you want, bro. I love you. I'm proud of you. All right, peace out. See you then.
And remember, every animal, aka, and that was like, every race has feelings too. And then he just like,
it's
like, what?
Respect women.
Respect women.
Bro.
Respect yourself.
And
if you don't feel,
that's it. And he just walks out. I'm like, what the fuck was that shit? No, man, he was not proud of him. Like, he wasn't, because he says, oh, I will always be with you and this and that. And I was like, no, bro, you didn't say that shit. You said, like, hey, bro, you need to get your shit together. That's like, it was a straight up, he was fucking like whipping the, he was
whipping the brick.
He was just like giving him a real heart to heart. And it's like, that moment was completely gone. They didn't show him. And yeah, so after that, and then Scar sucked. I don't know. It was a real letdown, bro. So it was good, but
give me your David rating.
Yeah, what's the rating?
Out of 5.
And then I'll
come on, rating.
I mean, because what I'm getting from your expressions on the film is that it's a great look. Like it looks great and whatnot, but it misses out on a lot of the lessons that.
And then the hyenas. I forgot about the hyenas. The hyenas have like a hierarchy now. Yeah. There's like a female leading the crew now, and
well, I thought in the past when the girl was like kind of like,
but they were always together. There was never like they were like, oh, it's the leader. Hold on, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. You know? They were all just they were just being hood rats together.
Snuck like
exactly.
They snuck woman
like,
empowerment.
She was the brains, but she was never like like when she came out, it wasn't all like oh.
Yeah, they were all just.
And this one is like together. 50 hyenas, and then she comes out and they're like, oh yeah. And I was like,
that's a bad bitch.
Yeah, and then she's not a bad bitch. Like, if it was Whoopi Goldberg, all right, then I'd still like, it works. But
no,
it's like, I don't know, it was just weak. Yeah, and then, okay, last thing I got to complain about is their fucking faces, man. The kid's crying, and they're like, he's the kid who, the voice actor, like, in that scene, he did pretty good for, like, crying. And then you look at the cub's face, and it's, like, serious. There's no, like, he's like, I don't know what to do. And his like face is fucking serious. Like there's no emotion in that face, dude. Like they wanted to make it so fucking real life that they made like a real Cubs face.
Yeah, but
so what do you have, fucking basically, you're like fucking
so choose your lane. Like, are we doing like full real life? Because then if you do real life, okay, then they can't talk. So like like what the fuck are we doing here?
So basically, I did see one person where he took like shots from the film. There's like, this is how you should have anthropomorphized.
Oh, the CGI that a guy like he made it himself, right?
Yeah, this is how you should have anthropomorphized their faces.
And it was like really nice. I like that shit. That's how it should have been. Yeah. Where they have eyebrows and they can actually show like sad faces,
expressions like, and whatnot. Yeah.
Of course, we're not gonna feel any kind of. It's a fucking lion's face. It doesn't have any expression. Of course, we're not gonna feel that shit. Oh yeah. It was just stupid, man. Fuck that. I know you guys think I'm overreacting.
No.
I know my childhood movie.
We're not.
Fuck you. No. Fuck you.
What did I do?
Fuck the Lion King.
What did I do? Support you.
He's done nothing but support you.
Throw the drink right in my face.
No.
You have to rate it, Dave. Give me your rating.
I'm so angry.
Yeah,
give us your fucking rating.
And you got 2 viewings, so you haven't even you had a chance to go back and try to find like positives to your negatives. Because I did that for like tons of movies before and like gone up or down based on it.
Out of 5 stars?
Out of 5. Or it doesn't always have to be 5. What do you rate it based on your system that rates best to how you rate movies?
I'll give it right down the middle, 3.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because that shit was alright.
Like, okay, if you're a kid that hasn't seen any of it, you're like, that movie was fucking awesome. Yeah. But it's like, once you've seen the real shit. Maybe a 4 just because like it was really beautiful. It was
just because it was like aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, but I just don't know why they made those certain choices. Like, why did they cut back on? They cut back on a lot of dialogue. Like, why are you cutting out on that dialogue? It's
because they spent so much money on making it look beautiful.
No, but like that scene with like the Mufasa, like they literally just took out like really important shit and just put like filler, and it's just like why? It was like it almost felt like one executive was like, "Now he'll say this instead." And then like later on he can go and be like, oh yeah, I said to add that shit in. You know, I was like, what the fuck is this shit, dude?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got mad. Big mad.
Big mad.
And baby. My buddies are actually like outside, I think.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, shit. Oh shit. We're gonna have to end this?
It's 8:06.
Yeah.
Tell your buddies to fuck off.
No mama's way.
All right, well,
we're gonna listen to this show on the way. I was gonna show it to them, so this is gonna be hilarious.
Briefly explain to the audience where you're going and what you're doing.
So I'm gonna be hiking in the Tetons in Wyoming, going to Yellowstone Park and going to Mount Rushmore, I think, and just a bunch of camping and hanging out. I'm planning on bringing this crew back some souvenirs to say thanks for the week off that I'm taking next week. We will reconvene the week afterwards, after which I feel like we're definitely going to be putting the rig back together, right? So it'll be some full-scale shows.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get the full rig back together.
But yeah, just going to go try to find my brain out there and see what I'm doing next in my life.
Are you going to be doing ayahuasca out there?
I think I'm going to have sex with 2 dudes.
Dude,
it's going to be fucking dope.
I mean, hey, but you know what? He does have his backup plan. He did buy some bear mace.
Oh, yeah. Bear mace? I'm going to spray that shit on my dick, spice my sex life up.
Wait, you're going to be out with the bears are at?
Yeah. I bought some bear mace, a knife, and some lube.
Dude, he's got like the whole...
It's either and he gets killed with the bear mace, the knife, and all that shit that he brought out.
Like, I thought it's either like...
I was low-key kind of impressed.
Yeah. No.
Are you guys gonna make out right now? What the fuck's going on? Sensing sexual tension. Yeah, I don't know what's happening right now.
All right, so yeah, that was episode 18. Hopefully, the next few episodes will actually get our full rig back. But we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.